I was standing in Terminal B at JFK holding 2 boarding passes in my hand when my stepson Tyler looked me dead in the eye and said it. "You're not my father. Stop acting like it." His voice was loud enough that a woman with a rolling suitcase stopped and stared. An older man in a Yankees cap turned around. I felt my face go hot, not from anger, but from something closer to shame. The kind that comes when you realize you've been fooling yourself for a very long time. Tyler was 17, almost a man, people would say. But in that moment, with his arms crossed and his lip curled like I was something stuck to his shoe, he looked like a stranger. I didn't yell back. I didn't argue. I just stood there, feeling the weight of the boarding passes in my hand, and I thought about all the years I'd spent trying to be exactly what he just told me I wasn't. His father. The announcement for our flight crackled over the intercom. Boarding would begin in 10 minutes. Around us, people were gathering their bags, checking their phones, living their normal lives. And I was standing there, holding 2 pieces of paper that suddenly felt like they weighed 1,000 pounds each. Tyler had already turned away from me. He was looking at his phone again, his thumb scrolling, like nothing had happened, like he hadn't just said the thing I'd been afraid to hear for years. I opened my mouth to say something. I'm not even sure what, but nothing came out. What was there to say? He'd made himself perfectly clear. I met Tyler's mother, Jessica, when he was 7 years old. She was a single mom working 2 jobs, and I was a guy who'd spent most of his 30s building a career and forgetting to build a life. We met at a work conference in Boston. She was presenting on project management strategies, and I was in the audience, bored out of my mind until she started talking. She had this energy about her, this warmth. When she smiled at me over bad coffee in the hotel ballroom during the break, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. We exchanged numbers, started texting. She told me about Tyler on our 3rd date. I remember the way she said it, like she was bracing for me to run. I have a son. He's 7. His dad's not really in the picture. I didn't run. I leaned in. She showed me pictures on her phone. Tyler at a baseball game, wearing a glove that was too big for his hand. Tyler on Halloween dressed as Spider-Man. Tyler asleep on the couch with a book open on his chest. "He's a good kid," she said. "A little shy, but good." I met him 2 weeks later. Jessica invited me over for dinner on a Sunday. Nothing fancy. Spaghetti and garlic bread. Tyler sat across from me at the kitchen table, not saying much. He had these big brown eyes that followed me around the room like he was trying to figure out if I was safe. I didn't push. I let him come to me. We started with small things. I asked him about school. He told me about his teacher, Mrs. Morrison, who let them have extra recess if they finished their work early. I asked him what he liked to do for fun. He said video games mostly. Mario Kart. "I'm pretty good at Mario Kart," I said. He looked at me, skeptical. "How good? Good enough to beat you?" The corner of his mouth twitched. Not quite a smile, but close. After dinner, we played. He picked Rainbow Road. I let him win the first race, then beat him fair and square on the second. He laughed when I accidentally drove off the edge of the track. A real laugh, not a polite one. When I left that night, Jessica walked me to the door. "He liked you," she said. "How can you tell? He doesn't laugh like that with just anyone." I drove home feeling lighter than I had in months. He didn't give up easy. One Saturday afternoon, I noticed his bike in the garage. It had training wheels. "You still use these?" I asked. He shrugged, embarrassed. "I can't balance without them." "You want to learn?" His eyes lit up. "You'd teach me?" We spent 2 hours in the parking lot behind my apartment. He fell 4 times, scraped his knee on the second fall. I thought he'd want to quit, but he didn't. He just got back on. When he finally rode 10 feet without me holding the seat, he turned around, grinning so wide I thought his face might split in half. "Did you see that? Did you see?" "I saw," I said. "You're a natural." That night, Jessica told me he'd called me Mark for the first time instead of Mom's friend. "That's a big deal," she said. "Yeah," I said. "It is. Just close friends and family." Tyler was our ring bearer. He took the job very seriously, walking down the aisle with his shoulders back and his chin up, like he was carrying something precious, which I suppose he was. At the reception, he asked me if he could call me Dad. I remember kneeling down so we were eye to eye. "You can call me whatever feels right to you, buddy." He thought about it for a minute. "What about just Mark?" "Mark works." He nodded, satisfied. Then he ran off to get more cake. I didn't adopt him legally. His biological father, Derek, was technically still in the picture, though "in the picture" meant a phone call every few months and a birthday card that sometimes arrived late. Jessica said it was complicated, that Derek had rights, even if he didn't use them. that pushing for adoption might cause problems. I said I understood, but in my heart I already thought of Tyler as mine. I went to every soccer game, even the 8 a.m. ones on Saturday mornings when it was freezing and I'd had maybe 4 hours of sleep. I stood on the sidelines with the other parents, cheering when Tyler touched the ball, groaning when the other team scored. He wasn't a natural athlete. He spent most of the game running in the wrong direction or getting distracted by something in the grass, but he loved it, and that was enough for me. I went to every school play, every band concert, every award ceremony. I sat through a production of The Wizard of Oz where Tyler played a munchkin in the back row. I listened to him play a screechy rendition of Hot Cross Buns on the recorder. I clapped when he got a certificate for perfect attendance. I helped him with his homework even though algebra made my head hurt. We'd sit at the kitchen table after dinner, working through equations that looked like they were written in a foreign language. Sometimes I'd have to look up the answers online, just to make sure I was teaching him the right method. "Why do we even need to know this?" he'd ask. "Honestly, I have no idea, but your teacher says you do, so here we are." He'd laugh, and we'd keep going. I stayed up late with him building a volcano for his science fair project. We used a plastic bottle, papier-mâché, and paint. It looked terrible, if I'm being honest. Lumpy and lopsided. But when we added the baking soda and vinegar and it actually erupted, Tyler's face lit up like we'd just launched a real rocket. "It works," he shouted. "Of course it works. We're scientists." He got a 3rd-place ribbon, hung it on his bedroom wall like it was an Olympic medal. "What kind of stuff?" "Just stuff. About my dad. About how he doesn't live with us. About how you're not my real dad." My chest tightened. "What did you say?" I told him to shut up. And then he pushed me. So I pushed him back, and then we got in a fight. "Who threw the first punch?" "He did." "Did you hit him back?" Tyler looked at me then, his eyes red. "Yeah." I pulled out the first aid kit from under the sink, got some ice from the freezer, sat him down at the kitchen table. "Let me see." He flinched when I pressed the ice to his eye, but he didn't pull away. "Am I in trouble?" he asked quietly. "Did you start it?" "No." "Then no, you're not in trouble." He looked relieved. But Tyler listened to me. "Fighting doesn't solve things. It just makes them worse." "I know." But he was saying, I know what he was saying, and it doesn't matter. "You know the truth?" "I know the truth. What some kid at school thinks doesn't change that." He nodded, but I could see he didn't quite believe me. "If it happens again, you walk away. You find a teacher. You tell me. Okay?" "Okay." I kept the ice on his eye until the swelling started to go down. Then I made him a sandwich and we watched cartoons until Jessica got home. She wanted to call the school. I told her I'd already talked to Tyler, that it was handled. Later that night, after Tyler had gone to bed, she asked me if I was okay. Why wouldn't I be? Because some kid basically told our son, "You're not his real father." I'm not his biological father. That's just a fact. But you are his real father, Mark. In every way that counts. I wanted to believe that, I really did. It was gradual, like watching a river change course. At first I told myself it was normal. Teenagers pull away. They test boundaries. They figure out who they are by pushing against the people who love them. But this felt different. Tyler stopped asking me for help with things. When I offered, he'd say, "I'm good," or "Mom can do it." If his computer was acting up, he'd wait until Jessica got home. If he needed a ride somewhere, he'd ask her, even if I was sitting right there. At dinner, he'd answer my questions with one-word responses. "How was school?" "Fine." "Anything interesting happen?" "Nope." "You have much homework tonight?" "Some." And then he'd go back to looking at his phone. I tried not to take it personally. I'd read the articles about teenage development. I knew they were supposed to individuate, to separate from their parents. It was healthy, the articles said, but it didn't feel healthy. It felt like I was losing him. Jessica noticed too, but she brushed it off. "He's just growing up, Mark. Don't take it personally." "I'm not, I miss him, you know? I miss the kid who used to want to hang out with me. He's still that kid. He's just figuring out who he is. And who he is doesn't include me." She didn't have an answer for that. If I tried to start a conversation, he'd put in his earbuds. If I asked him to do something, take out the trash, mow the lawn, help bring in groceries, he'd sigh like I'd asked him to climb Everest. I told myself it was a phase, that he'd come back around. But deep down, I think I knew better. I'd sit in the bleachers with the other parents cheering when his team scored, watching him move up and down the court. He was better than he'd been at soccer, taller, faster, more coordinated. After the games, I'd try to talk to him about it. "You played great tonight." "Thanks." That three-pointer in the second quarter was perfect. Yeah, and that would be it. He'd get in the car, put in his earbuds, and stare out the window the whole way home. I fixed his laptop when it crashed the night before a big paper was due, spent 3 hours running diagnostics, reinstalling software, recovering his files. When I brought it back to him, he barely looked up. Thanks. No problem. You should back up your work more often, though. You were lucky I could recover it. Okay. He didn't back up his work. 2 months later, the same thing happened. I fixed it again. I paid for his car insurance, his phone bill, the SAT prep course he said he needed, the new basketball shoes he wanted, the class trip to Washington, D.C. Jessica would say thank you. Tyler wouldn't say anything. I thought if I just kept being there, eventually he'd see it. He'd understand. But he didn't. It started with small comments, little jabs that Jessica would laugh off as teenage attitude. Mark, you don't have to come to my game, it's not a big deal. Why are you asking me about college? It's not like you'd understand. Can you not try to give me advice right now? You're not my dad. That last one stung, but I swallowed it. I told myself he didn't mean it the way it sounded. Then came the night I asked him to help me move some boxes into the garage. I wasn't asking for much, just 20 minutes of his time. Heavy boxes. My back wasn't what it used to be. He was sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone. Tyler, can you give me a hand? He didn't even look up. Ask Mom. She's at work. It'll take 10 minutes. He sighed, the kind of exaggerated performative sigh that teenagers have perfected.
Why do you always need something from me? I stood there holding a box and I didn't know what to say, because the truth was, I didn't need something from him. I just wanted him to show up, to act like we were a family. But I didn't say that. I just put the box down and went outside alone. I spent 45 minutes moving boxes by myself. My back ached, my shoulders burned.
And the whole time I could see Tyler through the window, still on the couch, still on his phone. When I came back inside, he didn't look up. What do you want me to do? Ground him. He's almost an adult. I want you to back me up. I want him to know that the way he treats me isn't okay. She'd go quiet then, and in that silence I could feel it. The truth she wouldn't say out loud, that she didn't think it was that bad, that maybe on some level she agreed with him, that I wasn't his father. Not really. One night, after a particularly tense dinner where Tyler had barely spoken to either of us, I found Jessica in the bedroom. We need to talk about Tyler. Not tonight, Mark. When then? Because this has been going on for years and it's only getting worse. She sat down on the edge of the bed, rubbing her temples. What do you want me to say? I want you to admit that there's a problem, that the way he treats me isn't normal. He's going through something, he's figuring himself out. At my expense? It's not about you, isn't it though? Because I'm the one he won't talk to. I'm the one he dismisses. I'm the one he treats like I'm invisible. You're taking this too personally. How else am I supposed to take it, Jess? I've been in his life for 10 years. I've done everything a father is supposed to do, and he acts like I don't exist. She looked at me then, and her eyes were sad. Maybe he needs space to figure out what kind of relationship he wants with you. And what if the answer is no relationship? She didn't respond, and that told me everything I needed to know. A chance for high school juniors to visit campuses, meet professors, sit in on lectures. It was competitive. He'd had to apply, submit essays, get recommendations. When he got in, Jessica was thrilled. This is amazing, honey. I'm so proud of you. Tyler had smiled, actually smiled. It was the first time I'd seen him look genuinely happy in months. I know you can't get time off work, he said to Jessica, so I'll just go by myself. Absolutely not. You're 17. Mark can go with you. The smile disappeared. That's okay. I'm fine going alone. Tyler, it's not up for discussion. Mark will go with you. I was sitting right there. Neither of them looked at me. I don't need him to come, Mom. Well, he's coming anyway. He's paying for the trip. Tyler's jaw tightened. He looked at me then, and the expression on his face was pure resentment. Fine. Some stubborn, stupid part of me that still believed if I just showed up one more time, he'd see it. He'd understand. So I booked the flights, made the hotel reservations, printed out the itinerary, and I told myself it would be fine. I tried making conversation anyway. You excited? No response. Should be a good weekend. Stanford's supposed to have an amazing campus. Nothing. I've never been to California. Well, San Diego once, but that was years ago. He turned the volume up on his phone. I gave up. At the airport, he walked 3 feet ahead of me the whole time. At the check-in counter, he stood to the side, looking at his phone while I checked our bags. At security, He went through without waiting for me. By the time we got to the gate, I was exhausted. Not from the travel, from the effort of pretending everything was fine. We sat in the waiting area. Tyler was on one end of the row. I was on the other. There were 4 empty seats between us. I watched other families. A dad helping his daughter organize her backpack. A mom laughing with her teenage son over something on his phone. A couple with a toddler, taking turns walking him around to burn off energy before the flight. And then there was us. 2 people who happened to be traveling to the same place. No connection, no warmth, just obligation. My heart sank. I watched him typing. Saw the little dots that meant someone was typing back. Saw him smile, actually smile, at whatever response he got. And something in me broke. Not anger, not jealousy, just a deep, bone-tired sadness. Because I knew who Dad was. Derek, his biological father. The guy who'd missed 9 out of 10 birthdays. Who'd promised to come to Christmas and then didn't show. Who sent child support payments late when he sent them at all. Who called once every few months, usually drunk, to ask how his boy was doing. Derek, who hadn't been to a single basketball game. Who didn't know Tyler's favorite food or what he wanted to study in college. Who had no idea that Tyler had anxiety about test taking, or that he'd taught himself to play guitar, or that he'd gotten his first detention last year for talking back to a substitute teacher. Derek, who knew nothing, and Tyler called him Dad. I don't know what came over me, but I heard myself say it. "You're texting your father?" Tyler looked up, immediately annoyed. "Yeah, so? Just seems weird, considering he's not the one who's been here." His jaw tightened. What's that supposed to mean? I should have stopped, I should have let it go. But I was tired. I was so tired of being invisible. It means I'm the one who's been showing up, Tyler. For 10 years. I'm the one who's been here. Every game, every play, every parent-teacher conference, every time you needed something. That was me. His eyes went dark. I didn't ask you to. The words hit me like a slap. I didn't ask you to be here, Mark. You chose that. So don't act like I owe you something. People around us were starting to notice. A couple with matching carry-ons looked over. A teenager in a hoodie paused his music. An older woman with a cat carrier glanced our way. I kept my voice low, controlled. I'm not saying you owe me anything. I'm saying you could show a little respect, a little gratitude. For what? For doing stuff you were supposed to do? I wasn't supposed to do anything, Tyler. I'm not your father, remember? You've made that pretty clear over the years. Then why do you keep acting like you are? Because I love you. The words came out before I could stop them. Raw, honest, pathetic. Tyler laughed. Not a real laugh. A bitter, cutting sound. You don't love me. You love the idea of being a dad. You love feeling like a hero. But you don't actually know me. You don't actually care about what I want. That's not true, isn't it? You're here because you want credit. You want me to thank you for doing the bare minimum. Well, sorry, Mark, but I don't owe you that. My throat felt tight. I never wanted credit, I just wanted... What? For me to call you Dad? To pretend like you're something you're not? And that's when he said it. Loud, clear, final. You're not my father. Stop acting like it. The woman with the carry-on looked away. The teenager smirked. The older woman frowned and shook her head. I stood there, holding our boarding passes, and I felt something inside me crack. Not break, just crack. Like a window that's been hit too many times. I looked at Tyler, at this kid I'd raised, this kid I'd loved, and I realized something I should have realized years ago. He didn't see me as his father. He never had, and he never would. So I'm respecting that. His face went red. You can't just leave me at the airport. You're 17. You're perfectly capable of getting on a plane by yourself. You've been telling me for years that you don't need me. So now you get to prove it. This is insane. No, this is done. I turned and started walking. Mark. I didn't stop. You're being ridiculous. I kept walking. Past the gate. Past the other travelers. Past security. Fine. Leave. I don't need you anyway. I heard him yell something else, but I was too far away to make out the words. I walked through the terminal, my chest tight, my hands shaking, and I didn't look back. Not this time. I pulled out my phone, saw that I had a missed call from Jessica already. Tyler must have called her the second I walked away. I didn't call her back. Instead, I started the car and drove home. He's 17. You can't just abandon him in a different state. He's not in a different state. He's at JFK, and he got on the plane fine without me. I checked the flight status. He's in the air. That's not the point. Then what is the point, Jess? The point is you're the adult. You don't just walk away because a teenager hurt your feelings. He didn't hurt my feelings. He told me the truth. There was a pause. What are you talking about? He said I'm not his father, and he's right, I'm not. Yes, you are. You've been his father for 10 years. No, I've been his mother's husband. I've been the guy who pays the bills and shows up when he's supposed to. But I've never been his father. Not to him. Mark, he was texting Derek, calling him Dad, smiling at his phone like Derek is someone worth smiling about. And I realized something, Jess. I've spent 10 years trying to earn something that was never mine to earn. Tyler doesn't want me as his father. He never did. That's not true. Isn't it? When was the last time he asked me for anything? When was the last time he wanted to spend time with me? When was the last time he looked at me like I mattered? She was quiet. Exactly, I said. So what? You're just giving up? After everything? I'm not giving up. I'm accepting reality. And the reality is that I've been fighting for a relationship that only I wanted. You're being selfish. Maybe. But I'm tired, Jess. I'm so tired of trying. She hung up on me. I didn't respond. The Golden Gate Bridge, the Stanford campus, some restaurant he'd eaten at. He looked happy. I put my phone away and tried to focus on the meeting. But the guilt lingered. I'm sorry he's hurt, but I'm not sorry I left. You could at least talk to him, explain. There's nothing to explain. He knows why I left. She shook her head. You're unbelievable. Maybe I was. Tyler has a game tonight. I know. You're not coming. No. Mark, he doesn't want me there, Jess. He's made that clear. He's 17. He doesn't know what he wants. He knows enough to tell me I'm not his father. I'm just respecting his wishes. She didn't like that, but she didn't argue. My own space, my own life. Somewhere Tyler's resentment couldn't reach me. I found a place near the water. 1 bedroom, big windows, a balcony that looked out over the harbor. I put down a deposit. Jessica found out 2 weeks later when she saw the paperwork on my desk. What is this? A lease. You're moving out? I think it's for the best. Her face went pale. You're leaving me because of Tyler? I'm leaving because I can't do this anymore. I can't keep fighting for a family that doesn't want me. I want you. Do you? Because you haven't exactly been in my corner, Jess. Every time Tyler disrespects me, you make excuses for him. Every time I try to set a boundary, you tell me I'm overreacting. You've chosen him over me at every turn. He's my son. I know. And I'm your husband. Or I was. She started crying then. Not loud, dramatic sobs, just quiet tears rolling down her cheeks. I don't want you to leave. I don't want to leave either, but I can't stay. Tyler, I hope you find what you're looking for. I hope college is everything you want it to be. I wish you well. And Mark? I didn't say I loved him, because I wasn't sure he'd care. I thought it would feel lonely. And it did at first, but slowly it started to feel like something else, peace. Felt my lungs burn and my legs ache and my mind clear. I reconnected with old friends, guys I'd lost touch with when I got married. We started meeting for beers on Friday nights, talking about work, sports, life. They asked about Jessica, about Tyler. It didn't work out, I said. They didn't push. I focused on work, got a promotion, started traveling more, took on projects I'd been avoiding because they required too much time away from home. Now I didn't have to worry about that, and for the first time in years I felt light. Not happy, not yet, but light. Like I'd been carrying something heavy for so long that I'd forgotten what it felt like to walk without it. All the moments I'd been there even when he didn't want me to be. And I thought about the airport, about the look on his face when he told me I wasn't his father. I typed a response. You're right. I'm not. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally. Whatever. I didn't hear from him after that. It's me. Her voice was quiet, strained. Hey, everything okay? Tyler's having a hard time. I closed my book. What kind of hard time? He's struggling in college. His grades are slipping. He's not going to class. I think he's depressed. I didn't say anything. He's been talking about his dad, his real dad. He reached out to Derek a few months ago. Of course he did. And Derek promised to visit him. They made plans. Tyler was so excited, Mark. He thought maybe they could have a relationship, that Derek had changed. I already knew where this was going. He didn't show up, did he? No, he didn't even call. Tyler waited at the restaurant for 2 hours. Derek just ghosted him. I felt a pang of something. Not quite sympathy, not quite sadness. Something in between. That's hard, I said. He's devastated. He won't talk to me. He won't talk to anyone. He's just shut down. I'm sorry, Jess, I really am. He's asking about you. My chest tightened. What about me? He wants to know if you'd be willing to talk to him. Maybe meet for coffee or something. I think he's realizing what he lost. I sat up in bed, turned on the light. What exactly do you think he lost, Jess? You. He lost you. He didn't lose me. He pushed me away. For years. And when I finally stopped fighting it, everyone acted like I was the bad guy. I know, and I'm not saying you were wrong. I'm just saying he's struggling, and I think you could help. Why would he want my help? I'm not his father, remember? Mark, please. He's just a kid. He's 19, and he made his choices. Now he gets to live with them. So that's it? You're just done with him? I thought about it. I really did. I thought about the airport, about the years of coldness, about the way he'd looked at me like I was nothing. But I also thought about the kid who'd laughed when I taught him to skip rocks. The kid who'd hugged me when he finally rode his bike without training wheels. The kid who used to crawl into bed with me and Jessica during thunderstorms. That kid was still in there somewhere, but I couldn't save him. I don't think me talking to Tyler is a good idea, Jess. Why not? Because he doesn't want me. He wants his idea of what a father should be, and I can't be that for him anymore. You could try. I spent 10 years trying, and it was never enough. I'm not doing that again. So you're just going to let him suffer? He's not suffering because of me. He's suffering because he built up this fantasy about Derek and it didn't pan out. That's not my problem to fix. Wow, you've really changed, Mark. No, I've just stopped pretending. She was quiet for a long moment. For what it's worth, I think you were a good father to him. Better than Derek ever was. Thanks. But Tyler doesn't agree, and that's what matters. I should go. Yeah. Take care of yourself, Jess. You too. She hung up. I sat there in the dark for a long time thinking about Tyler, about the scared little 7-year-old who'd watched me like I was a puzzle he couldn't solve, and I realized something. I'd spent 10 years trying to solve him too, trying to figure out what he needed, what would make him love me, what would earn his respect. But some puzzles don't have solutions. Some people just don't want to be reached, and that's okay. It has to be. He was a kid who didn't ask for a stepfather, a kid who had his own ideas about what family meant, a kid who was loyal to a father who didn't deserve his loyalty. I can't fault him for that. And I was a man who loved someone who couldn't love me back. Not the way I needed. I can't fault myself for that either. People might say I abandoned him, that I should have been the bigger person, that I should have stayed, but I don't think they understand. I wasn't abandoning Tyler. I was finally choosing myself. And after 10 years of trying to be someone's father, I think I earned that right. I don't know if Tyler ever thinks about me. I don't know if he regrets what he said. I don't know if he understands now what I gave up for him. And honestly, I don't need to know, because I'm not waiting anymore. I'm not hoping for an apology that may never come. I'm not holding my breath for recognition that doesn't matter anymore. I'm just living my life. And for the first time in a very long time, that feels like enough. Acknowledgement. That I tried. That I showed up. That I loved someone with everything I had. And that sometimes, love isn't enough. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do, for them and for yourself, is walk away, not out of anger, not out of spite, but out of respect, for the truth, for their choices, for yourself. I'm dating someone new, a woman named Sarah who doesn't have kids and doesn't want them. We go to concerts. We take weekend trips. We cook elaborate meals and drink too much wine and laugh about nothing. It's simple. It's easy. It's light, and I don't miss the wait. Inside was a single page, college-ruled notebook paper folded in thirds. Mark, I know I don't have the right to ask this, but I wanted to say I'm sorry. For the airport, for the way I treated you, for everything. You were there when it mattered, and I didn't see it. I see it now. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know. Tyler. I read it 3 times. Then I folded it back up and put it in my desk drawer. I haven't responded yet. I don't know if I will. Because the truth is, the apology doesn't change anything. It doesn't give me back the 10 years I spent trying to be his father. It doesn't erase the hurt. It doesn't make us family. But it does something else. It lets me know that maybe in some small way he finally understands, and maybe that's enough. Or maybe it isn't. I'm still figuring that out. What I do know is this. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not sad. I'm just free. Free to be myself. Free to build the life I want, free to love people who love me back. And if Tyler ever wants to be part of that life, he knows where to find me. But I'm not waiting. Not anymore. Because I've spent enough time waiting for someone else to decide I'm worth loving. Now I get to decide that for myself, and I've decided I am.